I just woke up from another turkey tryptophan coma nap. Just woke up from another coma nap because I woke up really early in the morning, right? And so I had a little bit of turkey and I fell asleep again. Um, and one of the folks on my list is a little upset that she discovered that she was not getting paid for Thanksgiving because she's doing contract employment right now. So let me give you a little background on this bullshit. Let me give you some background on this. I worked for a staffing agency for 5 years. 2 of the years I was in the accounting department. So I know all about the billing. I know all about the back end billing and collections behind this and um, what the payment structure looks like. Like how much you get paid versus how much we got paid, and what it looked like to collect that money and the various arrangements that they make. I know all the ins and outs of that. But then also that was my first proposal writing gig. So I actually had to be somewhat of a high level expert on like everything that happened in the company because you have to have at least a little bit of knowledge in every single area of the company in order to write proposal responses to the clients. So we rely on the subject matter experts to give us the specific answers, but half of the time they're like too busy. And they're like, that's not part of my normal duties, so I don't have time for you. So we have to have enough knowledge that we can wing it if they flake out on us and don't give us the answers that we need. So let me give you a little background on contract employment. This goes back to the crash. It probably goes back even further than that, but it really culminated, like it became a huge thing during the 2009 crash. So what happened when we went through that economic crash is that a lot of companies decided not to hire people directly anymore. They were going to start using more contract employment. And this was kind of a twofold issue, right? So you have Obama is coming in as the new president, and he tried to crack down on employment law, where employers are all, come on, you're not surprised by this. Employers are always trying to find ways around actually paying people. They're always trying to find ways around paying people. So one of the things that Obama did was he cracked down on 1099 law, which is where employers were hiring people as 1099 contractors, because if they did, then there were certain taxes they did not have to pay on those employees. The burden would then be brought to the employee to take care of their own taxes, and you didn't have to provide benefits, you did not have to provide holidays, you did not have to provide sick time, you did not have to do any of this stuff. So one of the things that Obama did in his first term was crack down on 1099 law and make it so that it was a little easier to prosecute worker misclassification, because employers do that shit on purpose so that they don't have to give you benefits packages, so that they don't have to pay you for holidays. They do this shit on purpose. But in addition, one of the loopholes that never got fucking closed up, so he did crack down on that, but one of the loopholes that never got cracked down on is temp agencies. Temp agencies and contract employment. If you are on a temp assignment, they do not have to provide you sick pay. They do not, and I mean, there are states like California is one of the states where they like lock down mandatory, you have to give sick pay to your employees. That being said, there is a loophole for temp employment. For temporary assignments, they don't have to give it to you. There are windows. So if you're not on a job for like 3 months, if you're on a job for less than 3 months, they never have to give you shit. Nothing. They never have to do it. No benefits, no sick pay, no PTO, no holiday pay, none of it. They don't have to give you crap. That is the big loophole that never got sealed up. And this is one of the ways that employers have been able to continually keep employees down. Because when we had that huge crash in 2009, a lot of these large corporations decided that they were going to have less people on their permanent payroll, and they were going to bring in more contract employees, temporary assignments, and take less risk. It's risk mitigation for them. But it's also just fucking dastardly. It's horrible. It's horrible that employers they're rich as fuck and they're doing this to people. So, for those of you who are progressives out there and you're really concerned about the working class, that's some legislation that should be looked at. That is something that y'all should be pushing, is that even the temp agencies, even the contract assignments should be providing these standard basic benefits to people. Even if you're only working for 3 months or less, you should be getting these things. But we're not. And it's some bullshit that these large employers, I mean, look, if you want to have a cutoff and be like, all right, well, if you don't make a certain threshold of profit per year and say you have like 50 or less employees, maybe then you get like an exclusion. I think that's bullshit anyway, because half of those people who are running small businesses still have a good profit margin unless they have a terrible business plan. Unless they have a terrible business plan, they still have a good profit margin. The whole idea of all these, I hate this too, when I'm like going around doing the petitions and people are like, oh no, if you raise the minimum wage, it's going to put people out of business. Well, what kind of fucking business plan do you have if you can't afford to pay people a living wage? What kind of fucking business plan do you have if you can't afford to pay people a minimum wage, a living minimum wage? It's some bullshit. You're basically saying that you want to give crutches to incompetent people who don't know how to truly run a business. That's what you're fucking saying every time you say, well, we can't raise the minimum wage. It would be too harmful to business. Well, who the fuck is running businesses that they can't afford that? Yeah, I just saw that. I've actually been talking about that for years. Ever since I actually started going live with my social media, I've been talking about this because I've had this knowledge ever since I worked for the staffing company starting in 2006. It's terrible. And, our legislators, this is something that you should be looking at. There shouldn't be loopholes to cheating people out of life. Out of fucking life. Everybody should have holidays, paid holidays. And if you require that you need to have people work on their holidays, they should be getting double time. This all should be happening. Everybody should be able to have, if we're not going to do benefits packets tied to work, which is probably the best option, it shouldn't be tied to work. It should be Medicare for all. They are supposed to bump up your actual income so that you can pay the premiums out of your own check. That's what they're supposed to be fucking doing, but they don't. They don't. Anyway, that's my, I'm still waking up from my turkey coma. I'm gonna go have some more turkey and probably pass out again.